Good morning. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm in the garage. Again, it's mid-March, it's a horrible day outside. And first of all, can I just say thank you so much to all the people who've taken the time, who found this interesting enough to take the time to subscribe, comment, and like the channel as it moves forward. It is really much appreciated, so thank you so much for that. And it does make it worthwhile doing. Now today I'm in the garage because it's mid-March and the weather's pretty horrible. So I thought, to be honest, I was out about a week ago and I covered the subject that I'm going to cover on my ride out when I was outside. The problem was when I got home and reviewed it, the audio was awful, so I couldn't possibly put it out. It was dreadful. So I thought, given the opportunity that I can't get out, I might revisit these two subjects. And there's, in essence, there's two subjects that I want to cover. One is about the bike itself and part of the bike that I'd be keen to get your thoughts on. And the second one is it's just a general motorcycle related thing that popped into my mind, and I was talking about it at great length, like I do, babbling on. And like I said, the audio didn't come out, so now might be a chance to revisit that. So the Royal Enfield, the Classic 350. What I wanted to talk about was the seat, the standard seat, because it seems that lots of people get the shiny new Enfield and one of the first things that they do is change the seat. Now, to my mind, now I've had a lot of bikes over the years, and again, there's a caveat here, it's different for each and every individual. For me, the seat feels fine. It's possibly, I can't think of a more comfortable standard seat on pretty much any bike that I've had. I've had a lot of bikes and I've had some horrible seats, horrible. There was three that sprung to mind. One was a Harley Davidson Sportster. It was around, I don't know, possibly 20 years ago. So we're going back a little bit. They may have changed in now, but the seat, you couldn't ride more than 50 miles without taking a break. It crippled you. It really was that bad. And you were glad to get home. If you did 100 miles in a day, you wanted a medal, frankly, because it was impossible to ride. Another one similar to that was another Harley Davidson, which was the little 750. I think it was the street. It wasn't the street rod, it was the street 750. That again, real uncomfortable. And one that might surprise you, which I found dreadful, was a Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. That seat on that, you might as well, for me personally, it was like sitting on a plank of wood. And again, 50 miles, you were desperate to get off it, which wasn't really in keeping with what you should be using it for. Now, I know ride comfort it's not just the seat. It could be the positioning. It could be the how high the handlebars are. It could be the suspension. It could be the positioning of hands, bottom, and where your feet go, the triangle. But for me, this is perfect. And I just wanted anybody's thoughts on why are we going to touring seats? Just as a matter of course, almost. Is the touring seat that much better? Is it that much better? I don't know. It might be. It might be that I do a couple of 100 miles on this in a day, which will happen in the summer. And I'm thinking, whoa, I see what they're talking about now. But for me at the moment, this seat is really comfortable and I don't see much point in swapping it out until such time as it proves to me that it's not uncomfortable. So the question is why are people changing the seats? And quite a few seem to be doing that. Why are you changing the standard seat before you've really ridden it and before you've really, or am I missing something? Does that make sense? Your thoughts? Leave a comment. Be great. Be great to hear your thoughts. Now, there is one little secret weapon that I've got in my quest to find comfort on seats. As I say, I've had a few bikes And in the past, I've played about with changing seats and that sort of stuff. Sometimes it made a little bit of a difference, sometimes no difference. But one thing that I did find useful was this. I'm sure you've seen these, some of you might have them. It's the same, this particular one is Tortex, but incidentally I bought this from Mattea in Germany that I was talking on a previous vlog. And it's one of theirs. It was one of theirs at the time. I'm not sure if they still do it. And what it is essentially, if you haven't seen them, is it's an air cushion. It's a cushion that you blow up, and it simply sits on your seat like that, and it raises you up a little bit, but you're sitting on a cushion of air. You blow this up to wherever you feel comfortable, and that slides in the cover. So what we've got is we've got this essentially, and it's not supposed to be fully inflated because it's supposed to give and allow your bottom to move, frankly, on those cushions of air. And I believe these were designed years and years ago by for air pilots who were sitting down for hours on end, and disabled people who are sitting, perhaps, you know, they're unable to, they haven't got the mobility that most of us have got, and they're sitting for long periods, and to stop them getting sores and stuff like that. I find this to be a great little piece of kit. And I had the idea for this initially from watching the Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman riding around the world. And they used them on I think they got BMW GSs, and it enabled them to really extend the riding in the day. Great piece of kit, and of course you can transfer it from bike to bike. You just keep it in the cupboard. It's quite inexpensive, and I find that a real good piece of kit. I mean, I might ultimately go down the touring route, the touring seat route. That's why I'm on asking for your thoughts about the touring seat. Which leads me, so that's the Royal Enfield related thing that I just wanted to get off my chest. And now there's another thing, again, it was related to one, well, so this came into it because this is a general sort of motorcycling related question. And I was thinking as I was, again, butterfly brain, as I'm riding around the other day, the furthest that people have ridden in one day. Not necessarily on a Royal Enfield Classic 350, on any bike you've ever owned. What's the furthest distance you've ever ridden from start to finish in one day? So, a bit of background to this. The furthest you've ridden in one day. Now, what I don't want this to turn into is top trumps, fisherman's tales. I bought one, I caught one that big. You know, I used to work with a lad, and I think if anybody said I've got a cat, he'd say he's got a tiger as a pet. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. So try and be honest. Leave a comment. Tell me how far the furthest distance you've travelled in one day. For me, and this isn't. Please don't think that this is a brag. Like I said, it's not top trumps, and I'm not bragging, and I'm not particularly proud of it. It's just a fact. So the furthest I went in one day. A little bit of background. I went, years ago we went on holiday. We went to Greece. We were going to Corfu on holiday, and I decided that I had more holidays available to me than my wife did. So I said to her, well, if you fly down, I'll go down on my bike, you know, a week early, and I can essentially have 3 weeks, a week to get there, a week to get back, and a week in Corfu with you. So she said, yeah, okay. So I made my way down to Corfu on the bike, Motor Guzzi, California at the time, in 1100. Great bike, great bike. Got to Corfu. The day came when she flew in. She flies in. That was quite funny because I went round to the airport to pick her up on the bike. And as she came out of the sort of terminal building in Corfu, everybody was piling onto the tourist buses and a few into taxis and a few wandering off in cars and stuff. And I pulled up outside on the Guzzi, and she threw her leg over the back, put a suitcase between her legs like that, and off we went. And it did get one or two sort of strange looks. And off we went up to the hotel, and we had a great week in Corfu, beach holiday, you know, riding around the island on the bike, happy days. Then the time came to come home. So took her back to the airport, off she flew, and I think I stayed another night because the ferry from Corfu up to Venice, it was pretty much 24 hours on the ferry. It was the next day. So I caught the ferry, got up to Venice. And the next part of the journey, I went from Venice. I seem to remember, I don't know if I had a stop, but I was at Salzburg in Austria. I was coming back a different way to the way that I'd come, just because I could and I'd got the time to. But when I got to Salzburg in Austria, it was absolutely hammering it down with rain. Cats and dogs, it was incessant, it was non-stop. And I was supposed to be camping. Everything was wringing wet. I was thoroughly miserable. I'd had enough. I wished I was at home with her in front of the fire, to be honest with you. But, so I'm in Salzburg, it's raining. I decided to get myself a little hotel for the night because I can't possibly, first I couldn't find a campsite. It wasn't easy to just find a quick campsite. And the second thing was I really didn't fancy, in the state that I was in, putting my tent up and having to contend with all that malarkey. So I got a hotel. It was raining all night. It was raining the next day. The weather forecast was for rain, 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 rain. And I just got it into my bonds that I've had enough of this. I'm going to go home, and I had a look at the map and I thought, I wonder if I can do it in a day. Again, it probably wasn't the wisest decision, but I thought, okay, yeah, let's have a go. So I got up in the morning early. As soon as the breakfast place at 7 o'clock, I was in for my breakfast, and at 7:10, I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm out the door, and I decided I was going to come home in one hit, which meant coming out of Austria on to past Munich, and just straight for home, straight to the Channel Tunnel, and straight back up to home. When I remember coming off the motorway at Stafford, which is up here where I live. Well, it's quite close to where I live. I come off the motorway at Stafford and I looked down at the odometer, and I'd done something like 960 miles. Now, at this point, I'd set off at 7 in the morning, and I'd stop pretty much every 100 miles to fill up with fuel. So that'd be every hour and a half, maybe hour and a half, maybe hour and three quarters, I'd stop for fuel. I'd come through the tunnel. I'd probably had a break of half an hour somewhere, but it was now approaching sort of midnight. It was that late. And I came off the motorway at Stafford. There's nothing much on the road. Looked at my odometer, about 960 miles. And I thought, well, when I get home, I'll have done 980 miles, 970, 980. And I got up to home, close to home, and it crossed my mind that it was a ludicrous amount of mileage. And if I just went, I don't know, a little spin round, I could do another 20 miles and get 1,000 miles in a day. Now then, common sense won out, and I didn't, because my mind, one part was saying, do the 20 miles and get 1,000 miles. Then you can, in your own mind, you can say, you've done 1,000 miles. Another part of me was saying, Keith, go home. You're tired, you're irritable, you're cold, I wasn't really wet at that point. You're cold, you're an accident waiting to happen. So just go home, have a cup of tea, go to bed, and recover. And quite frankly, that argument thankfully won through. So I went home and I don't know, got my stuff off, and I got home. But by then I'd done something like, I can't remember the exact figure, it was something like 975 miles in one day. Now, it occurred to me that probably, and I'm not that big a tourer really, that was just one sort of random trip that I made. I've made other random trips, but I'm not a wholesale, 4 times a year, I go somewhere wild and wacky. It was just really a one-off, and it was probably a crazy thing to do. But it did get me wondering. I mean, it can't be, much of that was on motorways at speed. The Guzzi was great at holding however fast you want to go, up to, it's a 200 mile an hour comfortably. It'd cruise at 80 comfortably, 90, whatever it was. But it can't, I would imagine there's not many people who've done that sort of mileage. And it's not a show-off thing, it really isn't. But I'm just wondering, what's the furthest you've done in one day? Is it 50 miles? Is it 100 miles? I do 100 miles pretty rare. A normal trip for me, a normal, nice day round robin trip's probably going to be around the 100-mile mark. 975 is a ludicrous amount. But I just wondered if anybody else has done any sort of crazy mileages. I imagine it'd be difficult because I did start at 7 in the morning and it was getting late when I got back home. It was midnighty. And just a thought really that popped up. So please leave your comments below. Tell me if you've got any pictures. If you've got any, what I'll do is I'll leave an email address in the description below. And if you've got any pictures or any, let me know who you are, what you were riding, and how far you went, and I'll pop them up on a future vlog. That'll be interesting to receive. But just let me know what your thoughts are. How far have you gone in one day? So that's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching if you've lasted this far. Thanks for supporting my little channel. Please feel free to give us a thumbs up, to comment, let me know how far you've been in one day, and let me know about this seat malarkey. Why are people changing them before they've really had a chance to ride them? Is it me? I must admit, going back to that, the touring seat does look a bit better than that. It does look a bit more premium. I will agree with that. But hey, anyway, let me know your thoughts, and feel free to subscribe if you like this sort of stuff. It's good to have you on board. And hopefully I'll get out for the next one. We'll have a ride round, and then some real random thoughts might pop up. But thanks for joining me on this one. Thanks for all the comments, and hopefully see you soon. Bye. Oh, ride safe.